Are you being one shot by like zombie grunts in dungeon floor entrance? Well, here's a little strategy. No, this is mostly for like floor 4s and floor 3s. End game players probably shouldn't do this because this is probably worse. Early game players, you probably can't afford it. Yeah. So you're probably wondering, why am I a clown? Well, this is basically the armor setup first. It's Necrotic Necromancer Lore Boots. I just have a 5-star. So first off, you don't need 5-star, but you need the setup, the armor setup. You want Necromancer Lord leggings and boots with Necrotic. What Necrotic does is give you a lot of mana, which we'll see later. It's pretty useful. And the Necromancer Lord gives you a lot of HP and defense, and already a lot of mana, which is good. The chestplate, I use Ron chestplate, but if you have 14 CAD, which I do have, you can use Zombie Knights. I just can't afford it right now. And then the next one is Necrotic Bonzo Mask. Also, you want all these Necrotic, by the way. Necrotic Bonzo Mask. It's not the best mask, as you can tell, but it gives a lot of intelligence. Plus, it gives you an extra life in dungeons, which will be very useful. Next, for pets, you want Blue Whale Pet. It gives you a lot of HP. Nice, very nice. And then for the sword, you want a Spirit Scepter. It doesn't need to be like this. It can be literally 8 million Spirit Scepter. It doesn't matter too much. And then finally, because whenever you use, wait, never mind. Whenever you're holding the Spirit Scepter, you gain like 400 mana, I think. 400 mana, yeah, 500 actually with heroic. And then finally, the last thing you want is probably the Ornate Zombie Sword, which can transfer mana into HP. What that makes you do is, so in dungeons, basically, you have an insane amount of HP, insane amount of defense. You're still mage, so you can still do a good amount of damage. You can spam the guided bat and just do a heck of amount of damage. It's really useful. I grind. I used to with Shadow Assassin. I used to not be able to do floor 4s at all, or well, no, I can do floor 3s. But now I can grind floor 4s and floor 5s, which is great. So this is a pretty good setup. I love it. It's quite nice. If you can't afford the Spirit Scepter, you can use a Bonzo Staff. It's almost as good. And if you can't afford the Bonzo Mask, you can use Dark Goggles. If you can't afford the Necromancer Lord Boots, then you're just too poor, I guess. Yeah. If you want a money guy, because this setup is quite expensive, most people can't afford it. And you can look in the description. There's probably multiple money guides down there. Final cost of this setup is probably a lot. Let me do math. The final cost goes down to 1459, which I just realized is most of my net worth, so that's a lot of damage. But yeah, this is a pretty good setup. If you can't afford it, then too bad. But like, there are some other options you can do. And if you die with the setup in like floor 2 or floor 3, I don't know, your cat level's just too low or something. Yeah, just too low. Come on, get your cat level up. I have barely ever died in dungeons. I only die from traps now, really. That's the only way I can really die. Yeah, I can probably solo the floor 4 boss now. It's just, the setup is really good, and my cat level is only like 14. It's not even that high. Yeah. So that's a tip on how to get better in dungeons. If you're just constantly dying, this is good alternative. And if you still want to do damage, yeah. I do have to warn most people that sometimes if you run out of mana, you really can't do much because of the setup. Because then you can't really spam the right click. The left click does no damage. Yeah, it's kind of bad. And you can aspect to the end out of there, and that's that. And because of that, I mean, yeah, kind of bad whenever you run out. So just don't spam it too much. Okay, you understand that? Okay, now I'm off. I am off and away. This is the end of the video.